Hi, I'm Bev Bowman. I'm a root cause health practitioner. I work with clients, often with chronic symptoms, to address the underlying why. Because often with chronic symptoms, we don't know why they fluctuate, why they come and go. We don't know when they're going to come back, and we don't know why they started. And we're really good at looking at what's going on, what those symptoms are, and perhaps what we can do to manage those symptoms and relieve them. But root cause health is all about getting beneath the what and looking at the underlying why this started and why does it keep going through these cycles. So that's how I work with my clients. But it feels really important to give a little bit of background about why this works. So if we take the idea that our body is always listening, so we have experiences in our lives, anything from a jarring comment to a highly stressful life event, our body is always listening and our body is always making subtle changes based on what we feel and think about what we experience. And these changes are always going on at a subtle level. And when we experience something that's really challenging, that feels challenging to us, our body begins to make changes to help us cope. And at first, that might be quite subtle. However, if that challenge or stress or issue goes on and is dormant within our body over time as we go through cycles and we become re-triggered, those symptoms become more intense. So the root cause approach is based in biology. For a long time, we've been increasingly interested and gaining increasing understanding about the mind-body connection. And I think it's becoming a more widespread idea that stress affects our health. And perhaps you may have noticed even more specifically that stress affects certain areas of your body in different ways. And it's threaded through our language as well. We talk about having the weight of the world on our shoulders. Something's perhaps a bit of a pain in the neck. We get butterflies in our tummy. We have a sense that our body is listening in this very general way. And there is a growing body of work and interest and passion around this. Now, the root cause approach builds on this. So we look at this in a really specific, targeted, biological and anatomical way. We could think of it as the anatomy of stress. So it's not just that if I'm carrying a heavy weight and a lot of responsibility at the moment, I might get shoulder tension. It's going to affect my shoulders. We actually narrow down to the specific organ tissue. So is it bone? Is it muscle? Is it ligaments? Is it tendons? Is it fascia? What specific tissue is responding to this sense of over responsibility? And every organ tissue in the body has its own survival strategy. It goes deeper than my shoulders have a survival strategy. It's actually different aspects of my shoulders have different takes on how they respond and what they perceive in terms of my life stressors. So the door has been open to this for quite some time, but from a root cause perspective, we're looking at it in a really precise, specific and targeted way. And we call it organ, mind, brain anatomy. And it's very much working with the systems that are already in place in our body that we have known about for a long time. So organ, mind, brain anatomy brings together homeostasis, the rebalancing system in our body, the auto-regulation that's constantly taking place right now as we're talking and listening. Homeostasis is going on in our body. Our body is always balancing out. And we go through rhythms of day and night, and that's a bigger balancing out. We have an active day, possibly stress, and then we rest and repair at night, ready for the next day. And our body is on our side. It always wants us to find health. The compass is always pointing in that direction. So the root cause of perspective also brings together with homeostasis. We look at microbiome and the involvement of microbiome in this balancing out process. And we look at biological function as well, because every tissue in the body has its own function, its own purpose. And what that tissue is listening out for in terms of what we experience and what we think and feel about it relates directly to the purpose of that tissue. So my lower back is there to support me, to carry weight, to help me cope with pressure in life, and just to keep me upright. So if I experience something that I personally perceive as a heavy pressure, a heavy burden, or I feel unsupported in my life, my lower back may respond. And again, we take it down to specific organ tissue. So we know that it as an experience of a symptom, it's lower back pain. But what specifically is it? Is it the vertebrae? Is it the joints? Is it the muscles, the tendons? What specifically is it? And we do that with every tissue in the body, and every symptom we funnel into specific organ tissues, and we have anatomical charts which have this language of every sort of organ tissue in the body and how it's responding. And we also work with the nervous system as well. So where I was saying we look at these cycles of day and night, this is our nervous system switching from daytime mode to nighttime mode. And all of these biological systems that we know so much about, they work together. But when we experience stresses and we have challenging thoughts and emotions about those experiences, these systems that weave together and point towards health get knocked out of balance, and we begin to develop symptoms. And as those stressors or strains remain unresolved, and if they continue to be in our body as residual stress, then over time those symptoms just become more intense. And just to add, really, this is a growing area, a growing new way of looking at health. It builds on what we've been exploring for decades in terms of the mind-body connection, but it does it through bringing together science and biology. And if you are interested in this, it's now available to study at master's and PhD level, and I'm on that journey myself. And it's accredited by the National Board for Health and Wellness Coaches in the US as well. So this is going mainstream, and that is really exciting. So yeah, thank you for listening.